Hello everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent. Today we're talking about demons. Demons are those malicious creatures that were kind of always there in the chaotic dark before there was light. They existed. Oberiths are the name of the demons that existed before mortal life and even the gods. Now, demons live in and come from the abyss. The abyss has 666 yet possibly infinite layers, no one is certain. And in the great wheel cosmology, the abyss was the chaotic evil outer plane. In the world tree cosmology, the river Styx, renamed the River of Blood, flowed through the abyss and the nine hells. In fact, it flowed through all of the fiendish planes. Starting in the abyss, it passed through the Blood Rift, which was the name of the connecting point between the abyss and the nine hells, bringing demons closer to their arch-enemies, the devils. This resulted in the Blood War, the everlasting war between demons and devils. But demons are a semi-endless creation. When a demon dies, they turn back into the black ichor that they came from and end up returning to the abyss. And that black ichor then forms new demons. Seeing no end to the war in sight, Asmodeus, with his newfound divinity that he stole from Azuth, hurled the abyss deep into the elemental chaos, ending the blood war, or at least halting it for a bit. And that's where the abyss currently lives, deep in the elemental chaos in the world axis cosmology. Now, in the 4th edition book, Demonomicon, there is an interesting creation story for demons and the abyss. We talked about it in an earlier video, links in the doobly-doo, but here's a recap. The Oberiths were dying and needed to expand their realm to survive, so they created a shard of pure evil and convinced the deity Tharizdun to drop it in the Astral Sea, which would corrupt the surrounding areas. The Oberiths promised Tharizdun would rule over the new domain in exchange for his fealty. Tharizdun realized that he would not be able to defeat the other gods, so instead he took the shard deep into the elemental chaos and planted it there. The shard tore into the elemental chaos, creating a spout of black flame, forming a giant dark vortex. The remaining Oberiths and Tharizdun battled for supremacy of this new realm. The growing blotch on the elemental chaos turned into the abyss. It grew and grew, encompassing and I assume absorbing much of the surrounding areas. Tharizdun, suddenly at war for the abyss, called upon the substance of the abyss itself, to form minions, and the first demons were born, throwing themselves at the Oberiths in a suicidal wave. Both sides eventually came to a stalemate and withdrew to plot the other's destruction. Meanwhile, the shard of evil is still expanding the abyss. Primordials nearby heard its call and wandered into the abyss, seeking this object of power. The shard was located in a blood-red ocean, and it called out for one strong enough to claim it. The first to set forth was the primordial of fury named Timah Gorgon. As he waded into the sea of blood, another named Dagon joined to contest him. The two fought, but then a third showed up. It was Oboxab, an Oberith who quickly grabbed the shard of evil and became the first prince of demons. Oboxab was then under the shard's influence, and it wanted to be delivered into the Astral Sea as it was supposed to be. But the primordials Timah Gorgon, Orcus, and Baphomet did not want to grant Oboxab control over the cosmos. They attacked him before he could reach the Astral Sea, flinging Oboxab and the shard down again into the vortex that is the abyss, cutting into that blood-red sea, creating the Blood Rift. This final act fully transformed Timah Gorgon, Orcus, and Baphomet into demon lords. They chased after the shard of evil, but the deeper they went, the less powerful they became. Alarmed, the three retreated as the primordial Garish slipped past them and dove deep after the shard. He was never heard from again. The demon lords, fearing the Blood Rift's endless depths, never gave chase. New layers of the abyss surfaced, and the demon lords established their realms, bending the fabric of this new realm to their will. No one knows for sure, but demonkind seems to have spawned from the combination of the shard of evil and the elemental chaos. When that evil fused with the energies of the elemental chaos, a new type of creature was born. Now, during the first sundering, the elemental chaos went with Abir, and the Astral Sea went with Teril. However, despite the abyss forming from the elemental chaos, it stayed with Teril and was part of the Great Wheel cosmology. Now, during the Spell Plague, the elemental chaos rejoined with Teril, and the abyss was then hurled by Asmodeus back into the elemental chaos, or pushed down far below the elemental chaos, which is where it now resides, much farther away from the Astral Sea and the Nine Hells than in previous editions. The Demon Lords are particularly interesting, and there are a lot of them, but I'll just stick with a few that I thought were cool. Baphomet, who resembles a minotaur of sorts. I believe he was also a primordial. The Demonomicon hints that he was a primordial, but it doesn't say it flat out. However, the Forgotten Realms wiki says that he started out as a man or a beast, but there isn't a citation for that info, so I'm not sure where to look for that. I even put out a cry on the Forgotten Realms Facebook group. Nobody seems to know for certain if he was mortal or if he was primordial. His layer of the abyss is called the Endless Maze, and it's populated with minotaurs, goristroses, and quasits. A giant labyrinth covers this layer of the abyss. Baphomet envisions the world without restraint, where creatures live out most of their savage desires. Timah Gorgon, originally a primordial, appears as a mismatch of creatures. He's got webbed feet, tentacle arms, an ape-like body, and 2 ape-like heads. He is the embodiment of chaos, madness, and destruction. Half of his lair is underwater, and the other half are serpentine towers, which are crowned by skull-shaped mironettes. Demogorgon is the embodiment of chaos, madness, and destruction, seeking to corrupt all that is good and undermine order in the multiverse. Also known as the Prince of Demons, all followers of Demogorgon eventually go mad. Grizz was once an archdevil who served Asmodeus. He led an invasion into the abyss and became corrupted by its chaotic forces. He decided to stay and rule over the layers he conquered. Standing 9 feet tall, he is a muscular humanoid with obsidian skin, green eyes, and yellow fangs. Juhi Blix, called the Faceless Lord and Oozing Hunger, is the demon lord of slime and ooze. It's an interesting demon lord because he doesn't really plot or scheme, he just consumes. And only the truly insane worship Juhi Blix. He shares his home with Zagutmoy, the demon lord of fungus, and Zagutmoy would very much like to remove Juhi Blix, but it seems impossible, as most demons have learned not to attack Juhi Blix, but rather just get out of its way. Orcus. His origins are also confusing. Again, I read in the Demonomicon that he was a primordial like Demogorgon, but chatting with others, they think that Orcus was mortal, who then ascended and became a demon lord, or descended on how you want to look at it. Nobody can tell me where they read this, though. They all kind of just feel like they know it. His mortal story is also on the wiki, but there isn't any citation, so if you know more about Orcus, let us know in the comments below. Orcus is known as the Prince of the Undead, and so he attracts followers with a fascination for the undead. Necromancers, vampires, and would-be liches form numerous Orcus cults across Faerun. And lastly, Zagutmoy, the demon queen of fungi, lady of rot and decay. Her desire is to infect the living with spores, transforming them into her mindless servants and eventually hosts for mushrooms, mold, and other fungi. She can mold, because she can mold her fungi form into a humanoid shape, but is mainly made of fungus. Zagutmoy's cultists are usually mind-controlled via spores, or are/become part fungus themselves, and thus an extension of Zagutmoy's will. Their purpose is to spread more spores and extend her reach into the abyss and the prime material plane. I should mention, if it's not obvious, that all the demon lords hate one another. They're all pushing for power, which the devils are as well, but they seem to have a hierarchy and a structure. The demon structure, if you could call it structure, is just hatred and fear. Everyone hates one another and hopes to usurp them, but they don't outright attack out of fear. If it was in their favor, though, they'd never stop and take over the abyss and then the prime material plane. And that's where we're going to end for today. Demons are interesting. Wizards of the Coast put out an unearthed arcana called That Old Black Magic, which contained spells for summoning demons, and I really like how they handled it. It was high cost to summon and also very risky after summoning the demon. It may or may not help your party. It was interesting game mechanics, and I hope that I'm able to use it in a game at some point. Please like and share if you enjoyed this video, and think about subscribing. Until then, don't go summoning any demons, and I will see you in the next video.